Hi there, and welcome to the Pearls from My Mom podcast. Every mom has special pearls of wisdom she passes on to her kids. In this podcast, we'll be talking about those pearls of wisdom, as well as the life lessons that our moms have passed down to us. We will be sharing to keep the legacy alive. Hello, and welcome to Pearls from My Mom, the podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Hutt, and today I am here with Sarah Jampo from maternalessence.com. Sarah is an author, a motherhood mindset coach, and a mother of four herself. And actually, in a first for Pearls from My Mom, the podcast, she is baby wearing right now, which means that she has one of her four beautiful children in a sling on her back. So if you happen to hear any background noise, as we all know, kids can be a little unpredictable. So that's what's going on there. Hey, Sarah, welcome. How are you?
I'm well, Jessie. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to help you tell your mom's story. This should be kind of fun, kind of therapeutic. We might shed some tears. Who knows?
I'm happy to be here, and I agree. It will be all of the above.
Super. So I know you wanted to talk with us about your mom. And so let's get right into it. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about who your mom was, what she did, anything that you want to share with us?
Sure. My mom's name was Debbie Shapiro, or Deborah Shapiro officially. She went by Debbie, and that's actually her married name. Her maiden name was Deborah Grinker, but that's kind of irrelevant. She was born in Oceanside, New York, in Long Island, and her mom was actually the first of all of her siblings to be born in the United States. So that's kind of interesting. But my mom, according to my grandparents, was the little girl who always brought all of the neighborhood children home with her to feed them, to play with them, to make sure they were okay. And that kind of led her to a life of doing the same. She was a social worker. She worked in an elementary school with young children, and she was very passionate about her work and helping people and making sure that everybody's heart was kind of full and happy. And she never saw any recognition for the work she did. She did it because it filled her with joy to know that she was helping others.
Oh, that's awesome. She sounds like she was like a really wonderful caretaker type personality.
Yes, she certainly was.
Oh, that's nice. Now, you said she worked in an elementary school. She didn't work in your elementary school, did she?
No, not in my elementary school, in a different school district.
I always thought that would be like either cool or traumatic if your mom worked in your school. I'm not sure which one it would be, but.
Right. Some days you would want her there and other days you wouldn't, right?
Yeah, that makes total sense. So she was a social worker, and I know that you ended up getting an advanced degree in social work. Is that what inspired you to do that?
For sure. Seeing who she was and how our home was and how we were always giving donations to other people and always making sure that everybody's basic needs were met so that they were able to even think about the state of their heart or their wellness. And that led me also to a life of service. When I finished undergrad, I was a volunteer with the Peace Corps in the Dominican Republic, and then decided to get my master's degree in social work, kind of following in my mom's footsteps, because I saw the beauty there is when we are able to relate and help other human beings.
Oh, wow. And so I'm sure that she's really proud of you, or would have been really proud of you, would be really proud of what you're doing. And so she never got to see you, fulfill that, become, walk in her footsteps, and even what you're doing now. So how long has she been gone, first of all, I guess?
Yeah, my mom died just 9 days after my 18th birthday, and I just turned 37 in June. So it's been 19 years, which is sometimes crazy to think about, because it feels like it was just yesterday that I was with her, and other days it feels like I never even had a mom. It's been, more than half of my life without her. And it's definitely funny how time is really an illusion that can play tricks on us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so. So, I mean, I guess since she never got to see the work that you're doing, does that sting for you a little bit, or do you feel like that she's with you all the time, or what's your relationship with her now, I guess, after she's passed?
Yes, I do try to continue to maintain a relationship with her. Oftentimes when I'm, kind of doing my wishes, my prayers, my thoughts, my desires that I hope to manifest, I talk to her and I'll sit in meditation and try to connect with her, because I believe that human beings, we are energy, and I don't really know what happens to us. I don't know where we come from. We understand sperm and egg is the science, but what about the other part? So I don't have the answer to those questions, and I believe that a relationship can be a real relationship, even if it's happening one-sided. So I continue to speak to her, to seek advice from her and wisdom, and also, sometimes comfort when I need it. I'll ask, like, I would like to see a little bird, have a little bird pass by me. And sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't, but it's interesting to kind of play with the energy of who she was or who she is, and how I can still relate to her is kind of a fun thing for me, to believe that somehow and in some way she's still present in my life, and I continue to live like she's here. I mean, obviously she's never met my husband or my children, but I believe that she's with us in some form.
Yeah, I can totally see that. And that's like, my mom's only been gone for 2 years. And so I'm still kind of in the throes of trying to figure out what my relationship is with her. But a lot of the people I'm interviewing, you included, she's been gone longer than that, like 19 years for you. And the fact that you say that you still continue to maintain that relationship with her, I think that's hopeful to me. That gives me a lot of, joy, knowing that I'll still be able to keep a relationship with my mom for many years to come. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yes. Yes.
Now, so now we know what your relationship's like with your mom now that she's gone. What was your relationship like when she was alive?
Well, I would say that we were truly best friends and truly worst enemies. Because,
I think that's pretty sums it up for a lot of moms and daughters. Tell us why.
yes, I loved her so much and treasured her and learned so much from her about what it means to be alive and a human being and a contributing member to society. But also, she died right after I turned 18. So I was a teenager, kind of figuring out who I was and what my role on this planet was, or how I was going to be in my life. And sometimes I saw her as my sister, my friend, and other times she was my enemy who was holding me back from being able to experience, A, B, or C that I thought was the normal, experience that a teenager should have. Or, that her being sick somehow made it hard for me to be me, which it took a lot of years of, self-discovery to really find where the separation was between us, or where the connection was, because it's hard when your mom is sick. Like, your roles sometimes reverse and you're taking care of her when she should, quote unquote, be taking care of you. So it was definitely not love hate, because it was always love, but it was love and we need to work on it type of a situation.
Oh, for sure. Well, that's kind of how, I mean, love isn't always, rose-colored glasses, right? Like there's
Right.
different in any kind of love. So I think that makes perfect sense. And I think that's something that a lot of our listeners can relate to. So thank you for sharing that for sure. Now, you mentioned that she's never met your husband, she's never met your kids. So, tell us, why did you want to tell her story? Is it something that you want to try to leave a legacy for people to remember her, or?
Yeah, I think that when we continue to talk about someone, that they still they live on. And I think that because she was so kind-hearted and so loving, that it's an inspiration for all of us to remember that we can also be inspirational and loving, to even if it's to our children and our family, or even just to ourselves. It's hard enough to find a relationship with ourselves. So that's what I think is so important, is to know that she really understood life, and she really lived it, and she really valued people over things, and she really just helped everyone that she could. And I think that's something that's worth noting.
Oh, for sure. You got your little one there.
Sorry. She's nursing now, so hopefully she'll be content for a little bit.
I get it. We're, most of the people that listen to this are probably moms and have some kind of idea of what it's like to be in your shoes. So not to worry, don't at all. Do you guys talk about her often with your little? I mean, how do you keep her memory alive for your children? Do you share pictures with them? Do you talk about her quite a bit, or?
Yes, they've seen pictures. There actually used to be one on the refrigerator, but someone took it off while they were playing with the alphabet and the animal magnets. But yeah, I talk about her. I tell them that the ways that they remind me of her, because each of my children is unique, and it seems like carries a different part of her inside of them. And yeah, we talk about her. I tell them how I'm sad that they never got to meet her. And, I don't know how much they understand of that. My oldest is 9.5, but they'll ask me things about her, and I'll share whatever I can to let them know that they're a part of her. They came through me, and I came through her.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really important, and it's a tough concept for kids at that age to understand. It's pretty foreign to them, so I get
right.
So let's get to the whole entire point of Pearls from My Mom is for women to be able to share. Well, it's not just women; men can too, but up to this point, it's only been women. But for people to be able to share, stories about their moms, any favorite memories. Is there anything that sticks out in your head as being like a favorite memory, something that you guys did together that you kind of will always treasure?
I think I'll always treasure our last interaction that we were able to have while she was still able to speak. And it was the night of my high school prom. And the last time that she opened her eyes and was able to speak was when she saw me in my prom dress and told me that I was beautiful. So that's certainly a memory that, makes me happy and sad at the same time, but something that's so beautiful, and I will treasure it always. And once she knew that she was dying, we had so many conversations about life and the meaning of life and how to live a good life, and I treasure those conversations more than anything in this world, because I feel like that was the wisdom that she was able to share with me, and that's what's helped shaped me and to become the person who I am.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I think that's a beautiful story about, her being able to tell you that you're beautiful. I'm sure that sticks in your mind and you have that forever. So that's amazing. Now you mentioned that you had to be a somewhat of a caretaker to her. So was she sick for a while?
Yes, she was sick on and off for 10 years. So she was I was 8 when she was first diagnosed with breast cancer. And I don't really remember all the intricate details of, when she was sick, when she was well. But I do know that there were times when, I would have to help bring, do a task that usually is reserved for the mom in the house, whether it was taking care of my younger brother or something in the home that I felt like maybe I wasn't necessarily prepared to do. But, as I'm raising my own children, I kind of see maybe it was just normal childhood, things that you're kind of expected to do to help in the home as a child. But when I was younger, it felt like I was doing a lot to kind of maintain the flow in our home.
Mm-hmm. That had to be pretty complicated feelings for you. Like, I'm sure at some points you were happy to do it, and some points it was, I wouldn't say resentful, but like you felt like you were missing out maybe a bit of your childhood, or
of course. I mean, I still had, the typical childhood. I did dance and all kinds of activities. I did activities in high school, and I was still very involved in life, but sometimes my mom couldn't be there because she was in bed sick or she was in the hospital or wherever she was. So I guess that's more where I would hold, not resentment, but where it hurts the most is that she kind of missed out on some of the parts of watching me grow more than, like that I had to run the whole house or take care of my brother. That wasn't really what was happening. It was more she couldn't be there because she was ill, and that made me feel sad, or that I wasn't loved as much, even though I knew that the reason why she wasn't there was because she was unwell.
Sure. Well, we can't help our feelings. And I think those are all totally legit. Super. I mean, like, that I think that makes sense. So, now you mentioned that you had conversations with her because, you said that you knew that she was dying. So you had some conversations. So the whole goal of Pearls from a Mom is to kind of share those pearls of wisdom that she gave you. So is there any specific pearls of wisdom that she gave you that you carry with you, or like the way that she lived her life, or what would you say her best advice to you?
Sure. I would say her best advice to me, that anyone can apply into their own life, is to be yourself and to honor who you are and to not try to be anybody else, because it's easy, we're social creatures, to look up to other people and try to emulate who they are. But her best advice was just be you, even if you're unique and different, and you don't go along with the mainstream, like if your thoughts are a little bit outside of the mainstream, to be yourself. And most importantly was to love people. She didn't see that human beings, I mean, she saw obviously that we're all different shades of skin tone, and that some of us are tall and some of us are short and some are fat and some are skinny, but none of that mattered to her. She said, when you look at a person, you look at their heart, and that's what matters. So I think that's really wisdom that applies to everyone, and how to be in life is to recognize we're all in this together, even though sometimes it may not feel like it, and that what matters is what's on the inside.
Oh, I think that's a wonderful message. And I think it shows that that's how you've chosen to live your life with the work that you do. So I think that's amazing. And, so you said it's been 19 years since she's been gone. So how has the grieving process been over the course of the last 19 years? I don't know. I'm sure, like I know it's different for everybody, but do you want to tell us a little bit about maybe things that have gotten you through, or just,
Sure.
what it was like?
Sure. So when she first died, 2 months later, I went away to college. So it was crazy. And I was there and trying to figure out how to even breathe again, or how to be. And I was 4 hours away from my dad and my brother in a different state. And I was not even depressed yet. I was still like just living in this world that I had no idea of how to make sense of it. And I started drinking too much alcohol, and it led me down a path of, I just didn't know how to care for myself anymore, or even how to be alive. Like I just wanted to numb all of the feelings of missing her and not knowing how to really go on with life. But I was going on because here I was at college. So that was the start of it, was really just trying to numb and not deal and pretend that things were fine and live a normal life. And after I finished my first year of college. And then in the second year, I did the first semester. And then I called my dad. I was like, I'm going to break down. Like, I need to take a break. I need to breathe. I need to figure out, I need to grieve. I need to have time to figure out what's going on. So I took the second semester of my sophomore year off, and I was home and I was working as a lifeguard, and I was in counseling and really trying to put the pieces back together. And then after that initial first round of grief, let's say, I transferred colleges and I was able to go to a different school, and I somehow thought it was very important to graduate on time. So I took summer classes and I did graduate on time. And, I was okay. I wouldn't say I was still feeling like as depressed as I was when she first died, or, when I initially hit the depression, but I wasn't really living from my heart yet. So after that, finishing college, I moved, to live with my uncle in Colorado. And I worked while I was there and kind of enjoyed. And then I said, okay, I think that if I'm going to feel better, I need to contribute. I need to do something where I'm helping others. And that's when I applied to be a Peace Corps volunteer. And I was accepted, and I was a volunteer in the Dominican Republic. And one of the women in the training, in the volunteer training with me, was a yoga instructor. And she would lead the volunteers who were interested in yoga every morning before we had our training classes with the Peace Corps. And that is when I would say, in those 2 years that I was there and my first exposure with yoga, I was able to grieve. I read so many books. I did yoga. I journaled. I really went inside to figure out, how am I going to be an adult, a contributing member to society, a functional human being without my mom? I feel like that was the time that I was really able to sit down and take the time to grieve. So that's when I would say I had my biggest, growth in the grief process. And since then, which was, I left in 2005, so we're still talking a long time ago, it's been up and down. And the work for me of grieving is internal, and it's figuring out more of who I am and how she impacted me as a person and the role that plays with me. And, some days I cry because she didn't get to be with my children and hug them and love them, and she doesn't get to see me as a mom and a wife and, a contributing member to society, doing something that fills my heart and also helps others. So that is an ongoing process. And I think grief is ongoing like that. And sometimes it feels like I never had her and I'm okay to go about my day. And sometimes it feels like she just died and I've been punched in the gut and here we go all over again. But taking the time to just honor that and know that it's okay to feel those things, and to, I don't have to drink alcohol like I did when I was 18 to push those feelings away, that I can express them. And sadness is a valid and really a beautiful emotion, and anger and all of these things that sometimes we think are negative and holding us back are really our stepping stones to growth.
Oh, for sure. I think those are really good words for people to take away. So, is there any nugget of advice that you have for somebody that's going through the grieving process, whether it be, 2 years like myself or 20 years, what would you tell somebody about the grieving process for them?
Yes, I would say that the grieving process is certainly not linear, and to just be gentle with yourself and allow yourself to feel whatever it is that's coming up, because there is no right or wrong when it comes to our human experience and the emotions that we're feeling. And also I think it helps to have a support system. So whether that's a best friend, whether that's a journal, whether that's a pet, whatever it is that where you feel totally safe to just let everything come out. Like, what is your outlet? What is your safe place where you can grieve? Because life is complicated and challenging, and not having your mom around, no matter what your relationship was like with her, takes away a piece of, your ability to stand firm on the ground sometimes. And so finding a way that you can learn to honor that and to be gentle with yourself and to find new ways to stand firm, I think is the best nugget that I have to share, is that be gentle and honor yourself.
Oh, I think those are really thoughtful words, and I appreciate those words, and I'm sure that our listeners will too. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I guess just to tie it up, is there anything that you wish that you could say to her? I mean, I know it's been 19 years, or I don't want to say regrets, but is there anything that you want to share with us that you feel like you wish you could share with her?
I guess I just wish I could tell her that she did a great job.
Mhm.
That her sacrifice and her fighting was worth it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it shows in you. I can tell you that with the work that you're doing and with the type of person that you are, I think that she would absolutely be proud of you. So I think that is definitely something to feel really good about, and I'm sure you know that too. So you don't need me to tell you, but just from talking to you, I can tell that you're a really good person with a really good heart, and I think that stems from her, and I know that probably would make her proud.
Well, thank you, Jesse, for your kind words.
For sure. That's what we're here to just support and, help one another for sure.
For sure. That's the only way that life makes sense, really, is if we do it together.
Mm-hmm. And so she inspired your work with, like we had said, social work. But now let's give you a chance to talk a little bit about Maternal Essence, which is the company that you've started, the website that you've got going on. Tell us what you do, why you do it, how people can get in touch with you if they want to.
Yes. So I started my business, Maternal Essence, after I had a major vertigo attack. My youngest was 10 months, and I woke up one morning and my world was literally spinning in circles. And I got to that place because in my effort to be a good mom, I was doing more and more for everybody else and totally neglecting myself. And I realized I can't be the only one who's doing this, who thinks that, like, in order to be the quote unquote good mom, they have to sacrifice their well-being. And I said, it's time. I'm a yoga instructor. I have all these tools. I know what can help people, and it's time to put that message into the universe. So what I do is I wrote an ebook first. That was the first thing that came from the experience. Once I was well, I said, okay, I've got to start, one, taking care of myself, and two, taking care of myself, and also sharing the healing that has helped me get up until this point, until I had my vertigo. So I put together the ebook, which has simple mom approved practices. You can implement them in just a few minutes a day to help moms put themselves back on the priority list and find the balance between self and mother. And then what stemmed from that is I created a 90-day group program where we have a weekly call that we're really supporting each other with the challenges, the ups and the downs, the blessings, everything that comes with motherhood. And along with the weekly call, there are journaling exercises and quick videos that moms can watch and audios to listen to. So it's really inspired me to help others find the balance between caring for others and caring for themselves.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's something that all moms can relate to. I mean, there's this idea out there on social media of like the perfect mom and all of that, but
Right.
I hope most people know that that's out the window. That's not a real thing.
Right. That June Cleaver was only a TV character.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's like amazing work that you're doing. And I think that that's super admirable. So it's a remote thing. Like anybody anywhere can do this with you.
Yes.
So how do they find you?
They can find me, so maternalessence.com is my website, and all of the information is there. I also have a Facebook business page, Maternal Essence, and an Instagram account. Maternal.essence is my Instagram handle, I guess they call it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, super.
Yes, so that's where they can find me. Or if they are so inspired by hearing me on the podcast, they can always email me at sarah@maternalessence.com, and I will respond as soon as I am able to.
Oh, that's wonderful. And that's Sarah with an H, just to be clear.
Sarah with an H. Yes,
My
Sarah with
sister's
an H.
Sarah without an H, so I know it's confusing.
Right. Understandable.
Perfect. Well, Sarah, I super enjoyed chatting with you today, and I love the work that you're doing. And like I said, I'm happy that you were inspired by your mom. I know she would be proud of the work that you're doing. So thank you for going out there and doing that work, and thank you for sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Jesse, for the beautiful work that you're doing, because it takes a village, and you're creating a village of support for the moms who need it, who are grieving, and it's also beautiful work. So thank you, Jessie, for your beautiful work.
I really enjoyed my chat with Sarah, and I know there were a few technical issues and, there's some baby background noise, but, we decided that we should just keep on plugging, and that's motherhood, and that's raw, and it's real, and that's what really goes down. So we left that way, and I do want to thank you for listening to the Pearls from My Mom podcast. I hope you go check out her work at maternalessence.com and contact her if you want to work with her. As always, if you enjoyed our episode today, there are many ways to support our podcast. You can hit subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, leave that 5-star review. If you're feeling particularly generous, you can head on over to our Patreon page and pledge a couple dollars to get some great rewards. For questions, comments, suggestions, or if you'd like to tell your own story, my email is share@pearlsfrommymom.com. I'm your host, Jessica Hott. Until next time, keep on sharing to keep the legacy alive.